Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be doing a strategy deck here that I've wanted to do for quite a long time now, and that is a Necromancer deck with ranged cards, namely based around the Archer Queen and her ability to increase the attack of other ranged cards. So we are going to do that here, and I've got an interesting sort of deck here because I don't have the dragon in here. But I do have one mana ritual, and it's mostly based around sort of like having tank cards as well as ranged cards, but they're not like too expensive in terms of the mana cost. And then we are really just going in very hard here. I think this must be in double mana mode. Well, I'll have to check, but it's definitely maybe it's not double mana. I'll have to check that. But it's definitely a much more effective deck than I had anticipated. Oh, it must be in double mana though, because look at that card draw speed. That's really high. And you can see how effective there it was, especially like the golems. Yeah, it is in double mana. The golems with the archers behind them, like Phoenix, you know, Shaman, actually very powerful strategy. And once I get the cards down, it's fairly difficult for my opponents to actually sort of get out of the trap that they kind of get into with this deck, because it's really just a very solid strategy, and having the Necromancer makes it even harder to get rid of. Especially with the Archer Queen's ability. And I'm using dwarves as well. Dwarves, golems, ice elementals to tank with, so I can get set up very heavily very early in the match. And that makes it very difficult for my opponent to counter, because I already have very good positioning. They have to really put down some powerful cards, usually in order to get out of this. Out of the decks I got beat with, I was trying to think, I mean, some of them were like, you know, more like fast-paced decks where my opponent could come in with like fire elementals or something that he could sort of like get behind me. Dragons could sometimes beat me, I think, but I could beat them if I was well set up. So again, basically the strategy here is just to put down the tank cards and then put down the ranged cards behind them, and try and just maintain good positioning that puts pressure on my opponent just by being there. You can see I've got them pretty much backed up on their side of the field here. And even though they have an advantage in the middle lane, I'm doing a great job of just delaying their attacks. And now they do have a dragon out there, so this is going to be a real test. It's going to be a real test, but the dragon's attack is out of range of my archers, and they just melted that dragon. And this looks like it's going to be a win, unless they have, like, arrows. And now look at that protection play there. You're in great shape here. This is just, it's a very powerful strategy for double mana, actually. And I'm surprised I never tried this before, because it works really, really well. And I think the Archer Queen's ability is a little bit underrated. I mean, she is an expensive card to put out there versus, like, the Skull Queen is, like, a few less mana. So, usually the Skull Queen is much more popular. Especially since the Skull Queen can also, you know, because Skull Queen can also be a little bit more versatile in just a melee situation, close range situation. But actually the Archer Queen within the right deck is very powerful. And here we're finally going to finish this person off. I gotta give him props for continuing to fight for that long. I thought I had them finished like a couple minutes ago, but no, they kept pushing. Okay, so let's jump back in and put out our front line here with 2 dwarves and a golem, and then another golem, because we have our full tank line there set, and then we can start putting our ranged cards down behind it. And this is just a really difficult strategy for opponents to deal with, because I can get a lot of stuff set up very quickly with sort of a solid like tank ranged card setup, and then the Archer Queen just really adding that extra attacking damage, especially with her ability. And here they have a giant dragon, but let's see if we can actually melt that dragon. Look at that. Look at that. That dragon just went straight down right there. I mean, really nothing they could do. And plus having the Necromancers as well definitely helps to get another dragon out. But normally archers would not be strong enough to deal with these kinds of troops that they're playing. But in a large group like that, with the Archer Queen's ability plus cards to tank in front of them, they're suddenly much more powerful units than they were before. And you know, this type of deck really helps to show that archers do have a place in the game's meta, and you kind of just need to have the right cards to support them in your deck. But yeah, Archer's Tribe is still a thing. It is definitely still a thing, and this looks like this person was trying to do some sort of, I don't know what type of deck they were trying to do, honestly. Looked almost like rushing with Boneyard and Hollow Knight, but then they have a Fire Elemental, so, and then like Meteor, so I don't know what they were doing exactly. But as you can see over the course of the match, I just started to regain control, and then now I pretty much have full control. And then they have a dragon that comes out, but it's like, look at what I got set up. Yo, you're not getting my dragon. I mean, you're not getting my castle. And their castle is just like pretty much gone because of the Archer Queen hitting it from a distance. One last shot for them, but not really happening. And I just loved how easy this deck was to set up. I could just kind of spam the cards out there at the start of the match. Real easy. It works really well against like Boneyard, for example, because all these tank cards are just grinding down the skeletons. And Necromancer as well puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. It really does, because see, they're investing resources going after it, and meanwhile I'm continuing to set up. And you can watch what they played right there. It was an Orc's Horde, and it's getting melted, absolutely melted. And they have a Valkyrie in the middle lane. That got melted too. Oh man, I mean, it's brutal the way this deck just grinds down opponents. Absolutely grinds them down. 2 Archer Queens out there. It is good to run protection with this deck, I found, just because there are a lot of people running Meteor in double mana speed, so it's good to have a little bit of protection from Meteor for sure. But other than that, like, generally not worried too much. The overall mana cost of these cards is low enough that I'm not super concerned about Black Witch. Obviously gets used against me, but, you know, also the ranged aspect with the Archer Queen means it's less likely for Black Witch to work, because they need something to be tanking sort of in front. But again, I think this deck just puts so much pressure on my opponent. And I love how it's just like really fundamentally sound with the cheap tank cards and then the cheap ranged cards. It's just, oh man, it's kind of just a beautiful deck to watch work. And then the Archer Queen just hammering away at them from a distance. Unfortunately on this one, they just kind of had a lot of cards to... they were sort of playing faster than my wear them down strategy. Although it was funny because I'd beaten decks like that before, but that particular one, they just got a lot of damage cards early, I think. and that didn't really go well for me. But I did beat some spell type decks, so I don't know. I mean, it just depended on like their card draws, and do they have Gust of Wind, do they have Fortify, how many Fortify do they have, how many do they end up drawing, you know. Card draws are very important in this game. Like, there is some luck aspect to it. You definitely have to put the right cards in your deck, but there is some luck aspect. So they're getting this dragon out here, but not really a whole lot of chance, I don't think. I mean, I'm going to set up my Necromancer lane, and you can see... Oh, well, okay. They did decide to contest that middle lane with a nice meteor, but the dragon still is about to go down. It still goes down. These single, like, dragons, just, they don't have any chance against this deck because I have too much DPS in each lane. They're trying to get their catapults out, but they're both blocked. Oh boy. That should be the end of this. But that was just, it was a lot of fun. This is one of the more fun double mana speed decks I played because it really grinds down your opponent, and just very satisfying to win with because none of the cards are really that high mana. So anyways, that's going to do it for this video. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel for more videos like this. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.